This is presentation 3 for Sport for International Development. This presentation will look at sporting development agencies and agendas as well. So, what to expect during the presentation? We will be looking at the major sporting development agencies. As well as this, we will look at the sporting development agencies' roles, so what they do, how they affect other nations, and how they affect development and aid more importantly. We will also look at the aims of sport and development agencies, and also finally and crucially how sporting development agencies relate to development and wider agencies as well. So we'll look away from sports development and look at other agencies and other companies away from UNGOs and how they relate to NGOs and sport development as well. So, during this presentation, we will look at 4 key sport and development agencies. Further on in the presentation, we will then go on to develop what they do and how they affect other nations. So, the 4 sport and development agencies we'll be looking at is International Sports Alliance, which is ISA, Play International, ANICO, and Right to Play. Like I said, in the further slides, we will look at how they impact other nations, and how also they affect aid and development as well. So the first sport development NGO that we will look at is International Sports Alliance, ISA. So there's 3 main areas that ISA look at: health and safety, economic stability, and healthy lifestyle as well. As well as this, ISA envisions a world in which once marginalised young people have become agents of change. By participating in sport for development activities, they have learned to shape their own future, have strengthened their confidence, and have become active citizens and have committed themselves to building up their communities. So this links perfectly with sports development. So ISA look to go into nations such as Ethiopia and Kenya and use sport as an activity to try and get a better healthy lifestyle by getting people involved. They look to shape futures of the people involved as well. They also bring in partnerships, which we'll discuss later, for other NGOs as well. They also bring in partnerships and funding for nations as well as you can see on the presentation, they've supported 20 different national bodies and agencies, which has then empowered over 150,000 young people and also trained over 2,000 coaches and leaders. So straight away, ISA looks at going into countries, and this also gives them a little bit of financial benefit as well, because there's more people becoming trained in coaching and becoming leaders, which then means they'll earn money themselves, which then means there's more jobs available for more people, which means a growing economy as well. Not only this, but ISA have also empowered over 150,000 young people, which means as they've empowered them, they've succeeded on their 3 aims. So they've succeeded on the health and safety, succeeded on improving financial gain, and also a healthy lifestyle. Attached to the presentation is a little YouTube video which will give a little bit of a briefer outline of what ISA does and the work that they do. As you can see in the bottom right corner, that's an example of ISA working within a different nation to provide benefits, as I've just mentioned. So we now move on to Play International. Play International have different branches to suit the needs of different people and different situations. So you've got Play International themselves, which is what the company's called, which Play International supports the idea and shows through everyday actions that innovation through sport favours socialise cohesion and resolve many educational and health related problems. So pretty much this suggests that Play International through sport, which they include, which is this based on, with that they improve educational and health related problems. Again, very similar to ISA, they look at improving health related problems, which is kind of the main aim for sports development agencies to do. So through Play International, they help education and health related problems. They also have Playdagogy, which is an active educational methodology that allows children to play and learn at the same time. So similar to a lot of NGOs don't believe in the fact that children should be sat in a classroom. So Playdagogy is a program run by Play International to work on the educational aim, which was mentioned before. So they use sport and activity to develop educational sides and educational needs of young children to build them into a better future. They also have Play Lab as well, which is bringing people together to collaborate around social innovation through sport. Again, this can relate to not only health related and educational, because they're also learning and encouraging each other to play sport, but it also can improve a person's lifestyle and also improve a person's social ability as well. So not only are they improving the educational and health related problems, they are also improving the social aspect, which then effectively can create them to have more friends from the same environment, which then risks the chance of them getting involved in dangerous activity and criminal activity, which may potentially ruin their chance of developing their pretty much life any further. So now we'll look at Aniko. Aniko is an NGO based in Greece. So these are a little bit different to the other NGOs we've just covered then, which include Sport for Development. Aniko look to provide sport development, but they only look at really improving or introducing football to these people as well. So the mission and the aim of Aniko is to use the universal language of football to promote health and social inclusion for displaced people. So straight away their aim looks at improving people who are either displaced in society, so they're not really accepted by society, or in nations where there's not much going on, or people who are in bad places such as gangs, such as drug cartels. This gives them the way of getting out of that and using something else as a little tool as a distraction away from all that aggravated lifestyles. So they've chosen football as a tool to address health issues, both mental and physical, while promoting integration and community building. This is perfect for countries, especially in South America as well, where there's a lot of gang violence and a lot of drugs as well. Because straight away, with them going in around the world with nations to build communities, hopefully as an aim as well from Aniko, it will help prevent communities colliding with each other, and it will also help with building communities to become more stable, making it a little bit safer for the people who live there. Not only do they want this, but as I've just said, they want both mental and physical impacts as well as health issues, which playing football is known to be a major benefit of doing both of them. So through Aniko FC, which is a team provided by the NGO Aniko, we provide an outlet for people to come together to get active, learn new skills and become part of a team. The benefits of connecting people through sport are multiple. It promotes bonding, social inclusion, teamwork, discipline, stress and trauma relief and trust building. Through this, the NGOs of Aniko will effectively help nations develop and give them that kind of aid through this, because straight away doing this will provide better communities, which then stops violence, stops money problems, and will eventually build all that through. Connected is a YouTube video. The YouTube video doesn't really have much talking, but it looks at and it shows the impacts, the effects, and how good the program is. As you can see through the video, there's smiling, there's laughing, and they look like they're enjoying it as well. So the last sport development NGO we'll look at in this presentation is Right to Play. This is probably one of the main NGOs that link to sport development around the globe, and one of the most effective ones also. So Right to Play, they're a Toronto-based development charity which provides a network of 12,000 local coaches in 20 countries. So straight away, it shows straight away that Right to Play has a major effect around the globe, with using their work within 20 different countries, which a lot of NGOs won't branch that far. Not only this, but they've also provided work and got 12,000 local coaches as well involved. So straight away, they have worked on getting people out of bad environments and getting them into work as well, which will be paid, which then also increases better chance of the economy within those nations, and also better chance for development for themselves. Right to Play is a global organisation that uses transformative power of play to educate and empower children facing adversity. So, like I said, similar to a lot of the NGO programmes which are sport for development, instead of just sitting in a classroom, they look to include some kind of play to help them learn, which, from a personal benefit, I would have loved as a child, and they're using that in different countries to try and help them develop and learn as quick as possible. Not only this, but Right to Play works in countries such as Benin, Canada, China, Ethiopia, Ghana, Jordan, and the list goes on the thing. So straight away it shows the broad range that they'll work on. So they'll split the funding that they get in each one, so it allow people to develop. It will allow people to develop themselves in a better way, and also the nations to develop better. As you can see as well from the countries that are listed, a lot of them are struggling and are third world countries. With this being, it allows them the greater opportunity to go in and try and develop them a little bit more as well, as they haven't got the resources they should do. So Right to Play go in, give them the resources, and hopefully make an impact on improving lifestyle over there as well. Attached is a clip of YouTube which will give a better understanding of what Right to Play do and the effects they have around the globe as well. So, moving on from the sport development NGOs, we now look at the aims of sport development agencies in general. So, we'll quickly touch on this. The aims of sport and development agencies, the fundamental elements of sport make it a variable in practice to support the achievements of MDGs and NGOs. So, sport allows a better impact for the aims of NGOs and MDGs and the United Nations to develop a lot quicker than ones who don't, as sport is seen as fun and is seen as an activity more people will engage with. Attached or screenshotted onto the presentation is a little clip, it's a little snippet of the United Nations booklet. So this little snippet here shows the aims from the United Nations which NGOs must consider when setting their aims and targets out. So all NGOs will look at this and base their goals and aims on what the United Nations set. So effectively, the screenshot involved in this presentation is the aims and goals of sport and development agencies. So now we will look at how sports for development agencies relate to wider agencies. So not all NGOs look to use sport as a way to develop within nations. So over the last couple of presentations, we've looked at how sport for development impacts countries and nations and how it develops nations and gives them aid. But not all of them do that. So NGOs across the globe are set for development in their own ways with different ranges of the way they're going to succeed in their goals. But how do sport development agencies relate to wider agencies? So more corporations and NGOs are working together in partnerships to create social change. So NGOs from sport development are now linking with wider agencies such as big profitable companies to gain funding to then provide more and better quality of deliberation to give nations better chance of development and aid as well. So one way that sport for development links with other agencies and other companies as well is through Aviva. So Aviva's workforce have played a role in this project, and although the original target had been to get 500,000 children off the streets and into education in 5 years, more than 870,000 children were helped. So straight away, Aviva links with the NGOs that we've gone over, because they're also looking to provide education and also getting the displaced children and displaced people off the streets as well. So straight away, those two link, which then gives a better opportunity, which is stated by George, for Aviva and corporations to give funding to help nations develop and give them aid as well. As sport development organisations link aims with major companies such as Aviva, it allows greater funding, like I've said, for NGOs to have an impact around the globe as well. So again, we carry on with sport for development agencies in relation to wider agencies. So now we'll look at an example of how a sport development agency, an NGO, relates to wider agencies and wider corporation groups. So an example of this is Right to Play and Microsoft. So they both link their aims very tightly together. So both link the aims in development. So Microsoft's aims are providing relief to the poor, advancing education, improving social welfare, preserving culture, preserving or restoring the environment, which is pretty much exactly the same as Right to Play. And as a result of this, Right to Play and Microsoft have become partners together, which then Microsoft allows funding for Right to Play to go to these nations to deliver and develop Microsoft aims. Not only does it allow that, but it also allows Right to Play with Microsoft money to deliver wider aims that they also have as well. So with the sport and NGO and a wider agency and a wider corporate company as well linking together, it allows a greater chance of sport development and aid within different nations. Carrying on from this, Microsoft has funded several areas of work, including our gender-focused programs in East Africa and our Play program as well, which is based in Canada. This is from the Right to Play website. So this shows that Microsoft and them have a great relation as well. Not only do they work in Canada, but they also work in nations around the world and also in UK as well, which is on the Right to Play website. They've also funded for technology for Right to Play to do more research, to research what nations and what they can do to develop more nations or nations that need aid and development as well. So to link the last 3 slides that we've just been over together about sport development agencies and wider agencies as well, not all agencies use sport for development to aid and develop nations. Sport development agencies also relate to wider agencies and wider corporate companies together, which we've shown the examples there through Microsoft and Right to Play. This effectively allows more funding to be given to them, which then gives them better chance and better hope of developing countries and providing countries with aim, and also linking it to their aims as well and what they effectively want to do within those nations.